Hello, welcome back to another session of Industry Insights. I'm Varun Senthil, and we have Deepak Aher with us. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name is Deepak Aher, and I come from a lot of statistics and operation research background from an education perspective, but started my career developing software. And then somewhere down the line, I enjoyed, building some solutions for customers and eventually got into sales. I ran sales for small, large, and medium organizations. And my focus is basically to help companies grow the revenue. And right now, the consulting firm that I own and co-founded is called Growth Equations, and we help companies to grow purely from making go-to-market strategy or route to markets that they can, put their energies into, and then also, creating a sales engine for these kind of companies, whether it is mid-sized startups or mid-sized companies or startups, and services companies included.
Wow, that's very impressive. I heard that you co-founded a company. So can you describe the effort that it takes in order to do that?
Yes, absolutely. I think I mean, when I was growing up, I never thought that I would have a company. It was very obvious saying that, oh, yeah, I got to be doing some work and stuff like that. But somewhere in the career, what I started to observe was that people have ideas, brilliant ideas, and those ideas then get converted or, build up into companies. They solve a particular problem, and then that problem they evaluate if that is a scalable problem. Like a lot of people have same problems, and they eventually look to build a solution. And once the solution is built, everybody who has that problem wants that solution. And that is a very simple model that I started observing, but never had the guts to go and say, you know what, let me think about this, or let me build a company. I think I was thinking all wrong. I think what I should have, or somebody should have guided me earlier to say that don't look to build a company, find a problem to solve. I think that for me was a much later realization, but it was a perfect realization. I think today, any company, big, small, early, unicorn, whatever you may call it, are all started with a problem in mind, and they solve it. And they, depending on whoever has it, then they basically commercialize that for revenues or whatever they else want to do. So I started my career pretty much like that, and then recently after COVID, all my, all the experience came through a lot of conversations. More importantly, I could figure out what do I bring to the table. It took me like I would say a decade to understand what is it that I can bring to the table. And with that tool and a few introductions and understanding and getting motivated with what's going around in Silicon Valley, I felt that, yeah, you know what, I can also find problems. And I started looking for problems, eventually found a problem for which I started to build a solution. That's where my entrepreneurial journey started. And that's what gave me an opportunity to build a company.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for that. I understand that that's very long and kind of a weird question for me to ask. But I do have another question leading off of that. So, how would you say that you can, like, let's say someone else wanted to, like, they already have the problem that they know they can help fix. How would they, like, start a company? How would they start founding one? Like, is there, like, do you need to register to the government? Like, what are some steps that someone needs to, like, follow?
Yeah, I mean, the way you can look at this particular question is in multiple ways. First and foremost is, what is the problem, and are you really solving the problem? Or, doing a little bit of an assessment and research to identify, is this problem being solved, and who and how successful were they? Is this a peculiar problem, or is this a problem which is, it is really tough to solve? So depending on what your problem is and what your solution matrix is, you basically start building on, those building blocks, the problem, solution, the team, all of that is a very integral part of how you build a company or make a company or create a company. But at the same time, a company, to be a company, it has to be legally registered. If you plan to make a company, there are lots of ideas today which do not have a company scenarios. They only become a company once they are slightly more recognized or they feel a little comfortable. So starting a company does not mean that, hey, you know what, let me just go start a company and then figure out. You can do that. There are a lot of successful companies which started like that. But a typical growth or a typical pattern for this is that once you know what you're doing, what kind of solution, whether it's a product or a service or a solution that you're trying to build to solve a particular problem, along with that, you want to hire people, you want to get your team built, you want to have a good regulation with building a company. It's not only you alone. You can sit in the corner of your house and you can do all of that. But as you start bringing in more talent, more ideas, more thoughts, more solution solving mechanisms, you start growing beyond you. And when that happens, that's when you need a structure. And that structure is today offered by a particular model of saying you got to register first to have a name of the company. You got to register it in a particular state. You need to have, you have to define what exactly is, what company you're trying to open up, whether it is a single proprietor LLC, or whether it is, a lot of 4 or 5 people coming together as, an S Corp and C Corp. And these are different terms that are used to legalize the formation of a company, which is people should be aware of, where the state should be aware of, the legal aspects of the company has to be aware of. Once you have that is when you really start. So there are a lot of companies today like Zen Business and INC File who basically help you with that whole process, saying, come up with a name, come up with what your company does, where is this company based, who would be the person who will be owner of the company or the proprietor of the company. There's a very nice, simple way of actually starting a company. I would say that starting a company is like flipping a page. It's that easy. What is important is, why do you want to start a company? I think there is your grounding foundation of why you want to start a company. I hope it helps.
Yeah, it helped a lot. It cleared up. Your explanation was really nice and explained like a lot of my questions I was going to ask afterwards. So thank you for that. A question I have deviates off the topic a little bit, and a question I do have is, what profession did you want to do when you were like in high school or when you were younger?
Wow. um, so I would say that I was always fascinated with science. I did find science to be interesting. There was a curiosity build up since childhood. And when I say science, my science was not like a science. It was like magic for me. And somebody said that, hey, you know what? Science is magic, but it's real. That's how they basically, and I internalized that statement to say, yeah, science is magic, but it's real. And what does it go on? And I remember I was born in India and born and brought up in India. I also did my schooling in India as well. And one of the things when I was growing up was a very simple observation. I like to observe things and look at something and build up my curiosity. So, everybody, that time, very few people had cars. And what I realized was the first time it connected so there was TV, there was telephones, but it was still a science textbook theoretical saying, yeah, so and so build electricity and so and so. There was curiosity, but somehow it was connected to studies. What switched my mind was when I saw a car, and I had always seen a car where you actually raise the window by turning a crank, earlier the cars had a crank, and then there was a car where you just press a button and the whole thing goes up. And I was like, wow. For me, that moment was like, oh my God, this is an automatic car. Okay. It was not the first instance of automatic thing that I had seen, but somehow I was like, wow, this is an amazing thing, where it was the right time when I realized, wow, this is fantastic. Instead of cranking, now you just press a button and this thing goes up. For me, that was a turning point to really understand, like science was always the case where I got curious. And these kind of small observations made me even more curious. And somewhere in the line, I started to wonder, like, how does it happen? What happens? What kind of science is there a biology? Is there a chemistry? Is there a physics? And most of the things that I was more curious on was physics. And so my physics became like I started enjoying physics. And also some of the teachers were really great in storytelling the science. I think the telling of the stories with physics as a subject was a fabulous combination for me to encourage and motivate my curiosity. And that's how I started looking at it. If I were to take all this into one angle and I just, move that thing today as of now, I would call it as innovation. I didn't know that that was called innovation. What I was looking for was innovation, or what was interesting for me was innovation. And it was so interesting that it started with automatic car windows to what goes into what's the physics behind it. I went to a very basic level of science. And from that, I realized, oh, you know what? This is what it is. There's a pulley system. There is a battery. There is this. So I came to know electrics and electronics, and slowly realizing that, oh, wow, this whole journey is to create this innovative thing. And so I always thought of that. I wanted to be a Air Force pilot or somebody to fly planes, and the reason was just the handling of the machine. I started riding motorcycles very early, and so I enjoyed the mechanics and the electronics aspect of it. And somewhere I thought that, oh, I'm going to be like some sort of an engineer or somebody like that. But somewhere I felt that science was always my root point. So I ended up doing Bachelor of Science, and in that I focused pretty much on statistics and operation research. Statistics was something new for me, and I started enjoying that, and that's what I basically did. But while I was doing that, the application of that science was used in program development, software development. And so I started enjoying to develop software, and I got, extremely happy when I got the logic of a program right. And then from that, I started, oh, I'll build this and I'll build that and I'll write a software code and a software program and a robotics and this. Nothing. I realized that there is even more happiness when somebody builds it and you go and present it through a storytelling exercise. What does the software do? That magic that I saw, I was able to find it more exciting to show people the magic or tell people the magic. And that's where I started looking at it. And today I enjoyed being in front of our customers, and I enjoy telling stories today about technology, innovation, ideas, different thinking. And that's how I connect my connections to my career. It was very, very dynamic. But the common link from today until when I got that click was something innovation. I call it innovation today, but I call it as a science thread. Something about science made me that, got me interested, motivated me, made me go and look for, more research, and then taking that and applying it to a problem was a aha moment for me, which I only started realizing it as I grow. So solving a problem and finding a solution, I connect it with my ability and curiosity for science.
That's a very large and extensive journey, but I'm very intrigued and I'm actually glad you told me it. I do agree with you on that science is like real magic, especially since I'm very interested in science. I'm interested in biology, chemistry, and physics. So I'm taking all of them in my school. So yeah, thank you for that.